coming?
I don't know. I closed the door because he wasn't here, but...
Do this just in case.
Oh, we need the other one. Yeah.
Wrong one.
We're going to be
there
here.
We go.
We're going to be here with this guy. Jen and I are talking spoilers for Ted Lasso.
Yes, so
because
you got 30 seconds to mute if you
yep,
don't want to hear it, because I watched the last episode finally last night.
What did Jason think about it? I'm curious. Or we can wait until he's here to hear his thoughts, I think. But I was definitely happy and disappointed at the same time.
I was sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It was sad.
Yeah.
Such a good show. You don't want it. It's one of those you don't want to end.
Did you catch some of the crazy plot points that they mirrored from the first episode to the last episode?
Yeah. Well, it's like some of the people that were coming to the game and stuff were repeats.
Yep.
And
The guy who he bumps into at the airport, he bumps into in the airport when he's coming over.
Okay. The Ussy guy.
Yeah. And he's like, "You're a crappy coach, blah 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 blah." Yeah. And then he's like, "Ooh, can I take a photo with you on the way out?" Yeah, that's funny. Hi. Here, I'll get this.
Hello, everyone. Arctic Mini Painting. Thank you for the Twitch Prime sub.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you need to grab something else?
Yes.
Well,
I'm not talking to you.
He's mad at me for some reason.
What'd you do?
I don't know. I said good morning.
Oh,
maybe that's
rude.
enough.
How dare you?
I don't know. Hi, Paint Liquor. Hi, T. Schmidt. Law Dog. Arctic Mini. What's up? Kyre, hello.
Are you guys all gonna get mad at Jordan for saying hello?
Please don't.
Yes.
I would be very sad.
Don't talk to that guy.
Don't talk to... Okay. I'm gonna just paint in silence for the rest of the stream. Jen will communicate with me about Ted Lasso in a way that nobody can...
That damn show makes me cry every time we watch it.
Did you cry?
It's a pretty moving final episode, I have to admit.
See how little she pays attention to me?
I know.
I sit on the couch right next to her during that show, bawling my eyes out.
That's probably because she was doing the same thing.
I was not.
No?
Let me tell you something you may not know about Jen.
Doesn't do that? All right. Never mind. So I got it
right here.
You don't get it right here, but you don't. Yeah.
No, I'm dead right here.
Oh, you're
right
dead.
Here.
Okay.
Dead right here.
So are you also soulless like me?
Cold. Oh yes.
Okay.
No.
I have no soul.
No emotions. Yeah.
Dead inside.
She's been talking to me about how she said it was sad.
Well, I feel sad, but I don't.
If you were dead inside, you wouldn't feel anything.
I mean, so.
Unless you're like, I know I should feel sad here.
Yeah, it was more like that, like kind of like a. It was more sad, like selfishly sad. Like I love the show so much. I don't.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, huzzah! I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my britches with delight.
We are rapidly approaching 4 years of me filling up your thought holes with knowledge, said Siobhan.
Thank you for the 42 months.
Thought hole.
I don't have one of those.
Yeah, I did not cry at Marley and Me.
Well, at least Jason did.
I mean, I understood why people would cry at Marley and Me.
What is Marley and Me?
I never seen it.
It's the dog movie.
Oh, like Old Yella?
I don't know, it's like a yellow lab or a golden retriever or something like that. It's like the best dog ever. And as dogs do, it dies.
They no longer are dogs at a certain point.
Yeah, that's the Earth's biggest joke.
But it's
is
also
that
Owen
the purest
Wilson.
love in the world comes in the form of a dog that doesn't last very long.
Yeah. Gotta know that going in.
Why they make more dogs.
Huh?
Why they make more dogs.
Yeah.
I think.
But yeah, Marley and Me, I think it's Owen Wilson, right? And there's nothing about him that.
There's nothing about him that makes me feel sad. He's a goofy guy.
Crybait, the movie.
I can't remember the last movie that made me cry.
Hello, nerds. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Welcome back.
We're here having a great time. Talking to nobody in particular.
Oh. Jason
Oh,
Jason showed up.
Oh, that guy.
that
guy.
guy's here.
That freaking guy.
He doesn't want to talk to me.
That
I
freaking
am
guy.
sad. You know what? And that's gonna make me cry. That's what does it. Just, you know, getting all.
You're broken for like an hour after watching it. Not seeing it.
Yeah, I was talking about how I was a little sad about how the show ended. Like
Ted Lasso?
Yeah. There were some things that I understand the reason why they did the thing that they did, but I am disappointed selfishly that I didn't get more Ted out of that last season. He was very absent in the final season.
And very different.
And very different, yeah.
I think that the mystique of Ted Lasso was absent,
Mm-hmm.
right? For a lot of it. Not horrible, not great.
That was my big bummer for the show.
According to Siobhan, men are only permitted to cry in 2 places: funerals and seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time. At
Well,
no other times are you allowed to cry. That sounds like Ron Swanson.
I have not seen the Grand Canyon yet, so that's one
you
that
got
I
one
still
coming.
gotta get on the books.
You got a freebie still.
Yep.
T. Schmidt said, Painter Jays, do you ever struggle coming up with iconography for custom armies?
Sure.
No, I just paint the fishbone logo on it. It's easy.
I mean, it's any sort of creative thing, right? Like, it's not always gonna come to you right away. Sometimes you gotta stew on the idea for a little bit, or write some additional lore. Come up with other ideas that are part of the whole that would infer more information to the thing that you are wanting to create effectively a logo for, right?
What flesh color is that? That already looks...
Advanced flesh tone?
Over the magenta, over the white?
No.
It looks good.
Pulse said, I've been really enjoying the return of methodology. Any chance that Jay's non-metallic gold will get an entry? I don't know which Jay.
The one he's painting right now?
Oh,
This one?
the one Jordan is painting?
I think I actually have it on the docket. Well, not this particular one. I have one on the docket that I like to paint. And we have another one for Jason's on the docket. But we have lots of ideas. We're going through them. We love bringing them to you, so never fear. We're gonna get through some of those. Part of the difficulty with some of that is there's some types of painting that are difficult to put into a short, clear and concise short or methodology. Sometimes they take a little bit more explanation.
Yeah, they feel like when you show them to them in the quick format, it's like you might as well just say get good scrub.
Yeah, yeah.
They are the painting equivalent of just get good.
Yep. So finding a way around that is generally the thing that we are working on.
Yeah, we would like to avoid the get good scrub
Yeah.
feel.
We definitely don't want to tell anybody that they are incapable of doing something, because that's not how we feel. We like to show and tell everybody that they are capable of doing all of the things. They just need to spend the time to learn it and practice it. Nothing we do on here is something that people can't replicate. Nothing. Just takes time. Put in the time, you will get rewarded.
Lies.
Lies? Why would I lie to the class?
Lies.
I would never lie to the class. I don't have a liar title. I can't. I'm incapable of lying.
Shard, what's going on?
We're starting with warm brown over here.
Exactly. Siobhan's got it.
What did Siobhan
Said
say?
I think my non-metallic looks pretty good now, but I can always improve further. Just practicing and it keeps getting better. It's like anything else, like martial arts, woodworking, cooking, hiding bodies, training dogs, and sewing. Exactly.
Yeah.
You just gotta ignore it.
But I mean, non-metallic metal is something you gotta put in the time for. I mean, I'm still getting better at doing it, and every time I paint non-metallic metal, I feel like I get better at it. And that's the thing, just, you know, keep a positive outlook, and always look at the things that you're learning every time you do it, and then keep some of your old work so you can reference where you were. Because that's the biggest thing, is you always forget where you've come from a lot of the time with painting. So you're in a situation a lot of the time where you feel like you're not making progress, but in reality you've actually made a lot of progress. You just are having a hard time objectively looking back and seeing the old work that you've done and seeing the physical difference. Because when you look at one versus the other, you will see the difference. It can just be difficult to see that if you don't have that old work to look at and reference. Yeah, and that's one way to do it, Paint Liquor, is you just say, I'm just doing this. I'm going to spend all the time working on this, and it's going to get better over time. Asking questions is always good. You know?
Practice, practice, practice. That's the key.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to hiding bodies.
But practicing smart, too. Practicing with a purpose is always better than just doing for no reason. So when you're practicing on your non-metallic metal and you're sitting down and you're like, I want to practice my non-metallic metal, have something specific that you're focusing on. Say, I want to work on my, you know, where the light is coming from on this particular model. Don't worry about the blending as much. Don't worry about the other stuff. Just say, this is my goal. And if anything else other than this, like, just make it the one thing that you focus on.
Shard said, had that exact moment this weekend. Threw some color on a model in 30 minutes for a tournament the next day, and it looked better than stuff I put real effort into 6 months ago.
Yep. Yeah. If you are putting paint on a brush, you are getting better. There are definitely efficiencies that you can make there, where you can get better faster, but a lot of that includes doing things like focusing on specific things when you're sitting down to practice, right?
Selling your soul to the devil.
Doing that.
But Arctic mini painting wants instant results and instant gratification, dang it.
That is what the deal with the devils are for. Ruben made one. He always rolls 6s now.
Yeah, his dice are out of control.
Yeah.
He only purposefully loses enough times to keep people playing with him.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
Ruben?
Yeah.
Oh.
He has the power of dice
Is he on
behind him.
a lucky streak?
It's a little beyond
I
a
mean,
lucky streak.
if you call selling your soul to the devil to roll better dice lucky, I guess that's...
Have you inspected his dice?
The problem is he does it with my dice.
Oh. I was going to say, does he have all 6s on his dice?
Nope. He does it fair and square. Ish. If you can count deals with devils being fair.
Played my first AOS RT Saturday in a dinosaur suit.
Oh my goodness.
That's
Wait, weren't you
awesome.
talking
I like
about
your
doing this a
style.
while ago? I feel like this was talked about. Like you said you were going to do it.
I feel like that's the way it should be done.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
have pictures of this, post them in our Discord so we can all enjoy. Is it one of those, oh, you did put them up. Okay, cool. Was it a suit with dinos on it or an inflatable dino suit? That's a great
100%
question.
inflatable dinosaur.
I was just going
suit,
for,
I
that's
imagine.
kind of where I was going. I was about to ask if it was an inflatable one.
It better have
But I
been
like the
inflatable.
idea of a suit with dinosaurs.
That would have maybe been better.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jen's like, I need to see these
I
pictures
gotta know
now.
right now. I can't wait.
Oh, that model is very cool, Jason.
It's
I'm
pretty
not gonna-
nifty.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a really cool model.
In main chat, you said? I don't see. Oh, there it is.
Blow up dinosaur suit or a suit of dinosaurs?
Neither.
Oh.
I mean, it's not an inflatable one. It's like a onesie,
Oh, okay.
like a dinosaur onesie.
I find this. to
Oh,
be
like
acceptable.
pajamas.
Yeah,
This is an acceptable alternative.
it's acceptable.
Boy, you guys are easy.
I mean, the next time you do it, though, it has to be a suit of dinosaurs.
Like, I want to see the family of Raptor style inflatable suit at the GT next time.
That's got to be oh my gosh, a team GT. Can you imagine just everybody in the team wearing T-Rex
Yes.
inflatables?
Yes,
That would be great.
that's what it has to be.
All right, I need you to find some friends and do blow up inflatable T-Rex suits next time. That is your mission, should you choose to accept it.
Can you dress Jason up in an old guy costume? Or what?
Why would we do that?
I just wake up this way. Stop being
I just wake
Stop
up this
being
way.
mean.
mean.
Yes, I think that's what we were hoping for, Shard. That an inflatable suit would have been like Godzilla destroying Tokyo with all the destroyed models for me trying to move play. Yeah, that's what we all wanted to see.
You stopped a little shy of the goal there, buddy. I wanted to look on as all of your opponents
Screamed
registered
in
the
terror.
fear as you started deploying your army in an inflatable dinosaur suit.
That I did assert dominance round one in a mirror match.
What were you playing?
I think they prefer to be asked, who were you playing? Very rude.
Hmm?
Thunder lizards.
Ah. The dinosaurs. Oh, this is a shark. Of course. This is a silly question. I know the answer to this question already. Shaky. Shaky? Oh my gosh, what is wrong with my brain today? Cannot communicate.
Thick dino thighs destroy life. That's hard to say fast. Like, that's a tongue twister.
Thick dino thighs destroy lives.
Yes.
I can say that one just fine, but the other stuff, not so good.
What'd you do this weekend, Jordan?
Let's see here. I went out to Old World on Saturday and played some games with Chris Masushi and our good old Jabe. Jabe. And then I went home and built some models. And then Sunday, built some models in the morning. And then went to play Lorcana with Paul. And then came home 3 hours later, which was wonderful. Because, man, let me tell you, going out to an event for a card game at like 12 and being done by 3 on like a Sunday morning, early afternoon is fantastic. Because normally you'd be done at like 8 or 9 and then your night's kind of over.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, I have like my whole day ahead of me. I can go do stuff. It was great. So that was nice. And then I went home and built models and watched TV. It was a pretty chill night. Oh, and I did go to the grocery store. Needed to fill up on groceries for the next couple of weeks.
Strawberry shortcake yet?
Nah,
No.
done.
Over it?
I didn't feel like. Well, I got a lot of sweets last time I was at the grocery store, and I don't normally buy sweets like that, so it was a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Ready for a break.
I'm not really in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm not really usually like a dessert guy. So having so much around me all the time, I'm just kind of like, ugh, I'm over it.
Kyra Asylum has a question. If one wanted to do an OSL effect from something painted with rich gold, what color would you use? Using the gold wouldn't be correct, since that would make the surface around it metallic.
Let me read this really quick. I want to do an OSL effect from something painted with rich gold. Are you talking about like having the reflection, like the light reflecting off of the gold, casting light onto other things? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about like glowing gold? Because these are two different things.
To glowing gold.
I mean, it would. Theoretically, it would be casting yellow light, like a gold ambery color.
Yeah, I don't think I understand. On the one hand, we're talking about a material,
Right.
which is gold. Now, if the gold is glowing, can you give us an understanding as to what's making the gold glow?
Right.
Is it like a magical glow? Because the light source might be emanating from the metal, but it would not be the color of the metal. The metal would inherit the color of the glow, right?
Yeah.
So help us understand what your thought process is here. We can definitely help you out.
So I'm working up this leather. We started with warm brown. We added a little bit of light umber and yellow ochre to it. So give it these kind of textured highlights. We're going to go up another stage or two on these highlights and then bring it back down with some transparent glazes. This is the way that I like to do leather a lot of the time. Retains a lot of that nice texturing you put in there, but kind of unifies that color a little bit better.
Amsterdam. Hello. We are having a great Monday so far. I am.
Yes.
It was this morning was a little rough. I'm not gonna lie. I was not feeling great this morning, but things seem to have settled down a little bit, which is good. I think I ate something yesterday that just did not agree with me.
Okay. Psyker doing shenanigans, and the runes on their armor are inlaid with aramite gold, turning the energy into a golden color.
Is the rest of the armor also gold? Or is this just gold inlay? On like painted armor. Just gold inlay. I mean, you probably wouldn't even paint it gold. You just paint it the glow, the color of the glow. You just make it like yellow glow.
Yeah, because what is gold if not yellows and oranges?
Right.
Browns, yellows, oranges, that realm, greens. You see us paint gold all the time without using gold paint.
Yeah.
Gold metallic is trying to reproduce the material it's made out of, right? And give you that reflective nature. So when you say, you know, like the auramite, I get it, right? The auramite has got a glow to it. That's understood. But that glow would have a color. If that glow you wish to be kind of a golden glow, then you're going to move into oranges and yellows in order to achieve that. Right? So I would, if you've painted it with rich gold to get the color laid down, then you're going to want to brighten that up with non-metallic colors, probably in the vein of like pale yellow, to give it the feel of a light source, so it makes it feel like it's glowing. And then take the kind of orangish, yellowy color of rich gold, maybe through transparence, and the traditional, you know, using like transparent white to identify the light where it glows on everything around it. And then use the orange and yellow to give that warm color to the areas around it, like cloth or whatever the cycler's wearing, stuff like that. You can imagine like the metal glowing eventually takes over the color of the metal. So you have to, you know, think of steel as you heat it up and it starts to glow, goes all the way to like cherry red, oranges, things like that, right? Becomes molten and has those colors in it. And
no
so
longer has any of the properties.
So if you're forging steel, it gets that reddish orange glow. And you would have like a hot sword, like a flaming sword would inherit that, or if it was just some sort of magical sword and it got its glow through heating up and carving through things, it could get that reddish orange glow. But you no longer have the color silver involved anywhere. Does that make sense? That just goes away. It would only be shown at the parts that are not glowing. So for your auramite inlay, if that's what you're doing, the auramite being gold, if that's the case here, is irrelevant when it glows. If you want it to glow in the color of gold, then you're not really wanting much of the metallic color to show anymore. You want to replace that with the color of your glow, right? So I think you may be struggling with two different ideas. You're trying to talk about, I want this to be a material on these inlays, which is auramite, I want it glowing. Well, both of those may not be able to read, and that's okay. You may not be able to get the feeling like, what are those runes made out of? Gold? Well, if they're made out of gold, just paint them gold with rich gold and don't really worry about much of the glow except for if they're recessed, right? Which I don't think I have anything like that I can show you.
Like recessed glow?
You know, like if you had runes that were embedded into something, you could paint those with the gold and then just do the edges around the recess and do those with like yellow and orange transparents to make it seem like the glow extends out of the pockets. But it's not going to look right because you have the metallic seated in the middle, right? And the metallic itself doesn't feel like anything that's glowing. It just feels like metal, right? The same way the silver sword looks silver until you hit the power button and it turns orange red because that's the power and the glow that's happening. It's no longer about the material the sword's made out of, it's about the light.
Gentleman paints.
Gentlemen,
Two.
thanks. Hello, good day to you, sir. Good gentleman. Says hello. This guy. This guy, this guy, this.
That explanation is turning some wheels. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, that's the goal. Get the brain juices going.
Get them brain juices flowing.
It may just be kind of getting used to the fact that when you have a glow, replacing the material that is glowing is one of the trickiest parts.
Yeah, thinking about the fact that that color is overriding whatever you're gonna paint on as the material, because the material is just gonna be completely blown out by the light that's being emitted from it.
Yeah, it's one of the scariest parts
Interesting.
of the whole painting experience when doing OSL is just covering up that part with white,
Yep.
you know, to get your light color settled in. Or we'll probably do some of that on this guy, maybe with the chains glowing around where they connect to his body or something like that.
Is that kind of like a on his chest? Is that like an inlaid like brand,
It's a pentagram
or is
to
that
keep
like
him,
stuck in his meat suit?
yeah. It's witchcraft. Abhor the witch, burn the heretic. You know, Jen's favorite sayings.
Yeah.
I am definitely excited. I think I've convinced myself to reinvest my time in finishing up the first of the Horus Heresy books. I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
Lots of cool information to be gleaned. Now that especially now that I'm starting to dig deep on building stuff at home for this Horus Heresy army that Kyle's got me hyped on. Feels good to actually like get started on that project. Those models have been sitting on my shelf at home since before I moved.
Yep.
It was a project I was going to start at the beginning of the year, and then realized that I was moving
Shelved.
in 3 months, and then shelved. Yeah, and I was hoping to start it back up once I got here, but it just wasn't.
Well, you did, kinda.
I started to, and then I realized that I was having a lot more fun doing card games. So I started digging more into the card games and stopped pursuing meeting people who were interested in Horus Heresy. And nobody around here was interested enough to like help propel me forward. But now that I have that, my
Great,
interest
so it's our
is-
fault. Thanks.
Yeah, it's all you. All you. In fact, it is all your fault in particular because Kyle's here.
The question from Source does. He says, I have a friend who's been struggling painting his griffins yellow with GW paint. I'm going to lend him some Pro Acryl from the base set so he can see if he has more success with that. What colors would mix well with gold and yellow to get shades and highlights? You will also get the glaze and
Burnt orange.
Yeah, burnt orange is usually my go-to.
Mahogany.
Mahogany is great. Yeah, anything built up off of like mahogany, burnt orange. You can use burnt sienna as well as a base. Any of those like rich saturated browns will work really, really well. Especially if they swing towards the orange side of the spectrum.
Oh, it's gotta be limited
Oh,
to
in the base set?
Base set.
Orange and mahogany are two other colors, because you can mix orange into the yellow, and then you can mix mahogany into the orange to like get a burnt orange-ish equivalent. It's not quite the same, but pretty close.
Yeah, burnt red too.
Yeah, burnt red as well. All of those colors will work really well. And then for highlights, you can just pass off an ivory. Would work well to bring it up a little bit more. It's tough because yellow is already really, really bright, so there's not a whole lot of room to go from there.
Slavic 42. Hello, Monument Team. Is someone just getting into the hobby? What 10 paint? Okay, someone.
10 starter set.
Yeah, if you look on our website, the starter set is 12 paints because it includes 2 washes, but the 10 paints that are in there are really, really good.
Yeah.
For beginning. We have the base set for our line, which is really the answer. It has 24. You know, so if you're arbitrarily throwing out 10, then change that to 24. If you
He got me good with that one.
if you are looking at just picking up 10 paints to get going on, the starter set colors are really, really good. They have some metallics in there so that you can get, you know, weapons painted. I think it's got silver, rich gold.
I think those are the 2 metallics in it, if I recall. And then it has what? Black wash, flush wash?
Black and flesh, yeah.
So it's got all the stuff that you need to just excuse me, to get started.
Jake the Baron wants to know if we're planning on doing any like painting competitions.
Painting competitions?
Yeah.
In what regard? Because we do the challenges every month. They're not really competitions.
Like at shows.
Yeah, we
Oh, at
talked about it.
shows? Yeah.
Well,
Let's come up in
huzzah,
conversation.
I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my...
You cut off.
CM Dower, thank you.
Gosh darn bot. That's like the best line.
We'd sponsor. Yeah. We offered prizes for the Capital Palette at Nova Open, but that wasn't like our painting competition.
Yeah, we definitely sponsored the Capital Palette.
There's already a ton. We'd like to see a really good competition brought back to Adepticon that is not
Resin Beast or any of the smaller ones.
yeah, and isn't like that specific necessarily, but then at the same point I'm like, we've talked about from a perspective of actual judging for competition, that having like our cameo busts and doing a competition that is solely based around one model would be cool, but that would probably be portion of something bigger and not just its own thing.
Yeah, like its own category or something.
Going back to the question about the 10 paint colors, said I noticed the only the jade in the green range. Would mixing it with white get close to an orc skin setup?
With the jade, it would be a bluish skin tone.
Yeah, you could do like I think there's yellow in there. That's why I say the base set is your best point of entry. The starter set gives you some really good colors that we use all the time.
Tony Boy has a question too. I'm trying to paint some blood angels with the recipe Payne's Gray, Dark Plum, and Bold Pyrrole Red.
Yep.
What color should I use for highlight that does not turn the red orange?
It doesn't turn it orange. So I did mine with the. Do you not like the highlights on these? Is that too orange? Because this is the bold pyro red and orange mixed together, and then the bold pyro red, orange, and warm flesh mixed together. That gives it what we call eclectic salmon, right? So it needs the orange, but it also needs the flesh tone in it to get this kind of, you know, almost pastel red. And that works really, really well. So it keeps it from getting orange, keeps it from getting too pink, because everything has a good warmth of yellow in it without, you know, taking you purely to those hot highlights.
Highlighting red is such a subtle balance.
Capital palette is really good. It's as an open format, allowing you to have the kind of the key points you need to achieve to get a prize, right? Yeah, I think is key. There were a bunch of categories that didn't have a prize given out. There were some categories that didn't have a gold. I think there was at least one category that didn't have a silver. They had them. Nobody won them.
Oh, that's what, yeah. So
Because the people that got bronze because they met the requirements for bronze but didn't go over them. And then the people that won gold, the person that won gold in that particular case, went above and beyond what silver would have been. So they just didn't have a silver. So it's unique in that case, and some people get a little put off by it because they're like, well, who won silver? Well, nobody won silver because nobody hit the criteria for silver, right? But for those that do, it's easier, number one, for you to know going in why you did or didn't place where you wanted to, because you didn't achieve certain things. So when you're talking to a judge, you can get better feedback and have that feedback more usable quickly, as opposed to, you know, coming and sitting down and asking me, hey, how come I didn't place? Well, if there's no parameters like that, then I'm going to just talk to you in generalities about your piece, which is great. But if I can say, hey, in order to hit bronze, realize you had to tick these boxes and you might have missed these three, so focus on those three things if that's your goal, is to find your way up to bronze and then silver and then gold. Yep. And that's the same for all categories, masters included.
Cliff Jumper, that's where we are right now. That's this place.
Well, huzzah, huzzah! I'll just throw back
You
my
can stop
legs
in
and
and say
pollute
hello
my
next
britches
time.
with delight.
Crafting,
That's our main factory, Cliff Jumper.
Crafting Kaiju, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub.
Just south of Indian School on 3rd Street. That's us.
Make everything here.
Jake the Baron, and that's why you don't like Golden Demon. And thank you, Crafting Kaiju. That Prime sub. The issue so many times is, number one, the judges don't have any experience judging. They may be good painters, but you have to be more than a good painter to judge painting, right? Because not as a painter, by and large, you get accustomed to one avenue of style of painting, right? That becomes your style, and it grows out of where you've been. But there's very few painters who are jack of all trades at a level high enough that you would want them as a judge. So they may not understand a more expressionist style painting or a more textured style painting. They want smooth, and that's how they paint. And so they dock you for not having smooth blends, when in composition terms, you nailed it. It wasn't about smooth blends. The way you painted it on purpose was not about that, and you really pulled it off. So there can be that. And Golden Demon suffers from that largely. They don't have judges that should be judging painting, unfortunately. At a level at the competition is, there's a lot of times where the people judging Golden Demon are not at the caliber that they need to be to judge the painting there. Now, that doesn't mean that judges can't also be at all sorts of calibers, because you have beginner, mid-tier, and then master's tier of everything, right? And so that can be a dilemma. And I don't envy Games Workshop on that, because you would really need a team that's what they do. It would have to be, I mean, for Games Workshop, it would really either need to be sponsored painters that you work with outside of the company, or it needs to be your heavy metal team, right? And I'm sure they don't want to fly their heavy metal team everywhere to judge Golden Demon and, Chicago, Illinois. But that can be a problem. Judging is always going to be the problem because it's always perceived as a subjective thing. That's why we talk about painting competitions as being kind of a really... You need a particular mindset to go in and benefit from it, and that mindset needs to be that you're there to have fun and get good feedback on your work, right? And so if those are your two goals, and your goal is not to win the trophy, right? Because winning the trophy can be a goal, you just have to understand the drawbacks to that goal, and the drawbacks are going to be the subjectiveness of judging. Because that judge may have stubbed their toe, or, the funny one that I heard about is somebody said, his wife divorced him and her favorite color was blue, so everybody that painted in blue lost the freaking thing,
gosh.
right? And there's those, and it's a joke, but it's not a joke. Because everybody perceives things differently. You may have painted a piece in my least favorite color. And so just subconsciously, not that I went up and said, screw that model, it's painted in green. Not that green's my least favorite color, but Jen's just wearing a green shirt and has a green light behind her, so I picked green. It looks jade on my screen, by the way.
I know, like
It does. Whoa.
It's just the lighting and the camera.
I was trying to get
Yeah.
it to like complement my shirt, and it's.
I mean, it does complement your shirt.
Well, it does,
because
because on the screen, your shirt and the light are the same,
same
color.
color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the issue being that you wouldn't know, and the judge doesn't even perceive that they're doing it, but because it's not in their colors, that it might be in specific colors they don't like. And even though you use them very well, it will kind of off to the side subconsciously be scooted into a category that's not going to get as much attention. And that can happen. And it's just humans. Being humans is not evil. There's nothing mean about it. But there's a thing if you go in just wanting to have fun and to get good feedback, solid feedback, and comparison on your own side with models that are saying they're of equal competitive level, I think is huge. But that means that you have to enter into competitions where you also respect the judges as people who are able to give you feedback and critique that you will kind of cherish and take as positive feedback. Local competitions can get sticky because you might be entering it in with somebody who you either like or don't like in the community, and so there might not be a lot to gain, so it's just about the ribbon and the prize, which is fine. But at a bigger level, it's very tough, and that's why I've always said that in order for it to really, really tick all the boxes, it needs to be everybody paints the same model. And unfortunately, that does not draw a crowd and get people super hyped from a viewer perspective necessarily, but it should, because from a viewer, you'll learn more, right? I think we go to these competitions and we walk around the cases and it's like going to the museum. You see tons and tons of really cool things because they're all different. And that's awesome for a spectator. But imagine if you were the spectator and you went and you saw the same thing painted by 100 high-level painters. Think about how much more you would learn as a spectator. Because you, not being a judge, would judge them appropriately. Because you would notice, oh, but see what this guy did? Oh, look what this guy, oh, but compare, look, oh, wait, run back over here. Look at this one. Oh, and then look at this one. You as a spectator would learn more. The judges would be able to give proper critique across all of the artists there because it would be instantly recognizable how the style was affecting the model because all the models are the same. There's no leeway. It's not painting a dreadnought versus painting the bust of an Eldar, right? So there's a lot of ambiguity in the way that you judge these contests because you can't take a model that didn't use particular techniques and compare it to a model that only used those techniques, right? Not effectively. No matter how good of a judge you are, you just can't do it. So that's why the open competition works the best in that scenario because it gives you the list of boxes, no mold lines, firmly planted on the base, cohesive coloring, smooth blending where represented on the model that it was necessity, and so there's just some fundamentals that you look at. And then the judges spend time on those fundamentals and they don't look outside that. So every model becomes its own piece of art in abstract from every other model there. It's not that I'm looking at this one versus this one. I'm looking at this one in totality of how it was painted versus the criteria. And that's why that format works so well and why Nova is, in my opinion, the best, would you say, competition in the States?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah, because that's how they do Monte San Savino. That's how they do...
World Model Expo?
Model Expo, yeah.
Yeah, I think they do the same thing.
Yeah, they're all, most of the European competitions are opens like that, so that going in what boxes you have to check. And then the only real thing is like the best of show. The best of show becomes a subjective winner out of everybody who checked all the right boxes at the highest level.
Yeah.
That's the only place it
Yeah.
breaks down.
'Cause
Because again, it breaks down because the ambiguity from model to model.
Yeah.
You know, you get things like the little skink priest that wins Golden Demon Best of Show and gets the Slayer sword when there were models there that blew it away.
No.
Right? From a judge's perspective.
Yeah.
And that's only because, unfortunately, the skink didn't have enough area to deliver enough technique to win at Slayer sword level, comparatively speaking to something bigger that had those same techniques but in something larger.
Well, and I think
That doesn't
that's-
mean that the bigger model always wins. But
that also like goes to another thing of like technical proficiency on application is like really important to get you past those like scales, right? So like from gold to silver and silver to gold, right? Is your technical precision has to be on point the higher you go up there. And the bigger and more complicated your piece is, the harder it is for you to hit on all of those marks on the whole of your model. And I think that while I don't agree necessarily that the skink was the most interesting model there, it might have been the most technically proficient. But I don't know. I didn't get a good enough look at them all, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
But it is smaller and it's less complicated, so it's easier to be perfect. Like it's easier to have everything be absolutely perfect on such a small model than it is to have.
Well, and I
something
guess that's
more
true, and I guess you
complicated,
have to go back to what the rubric is. Is there a storytelling rubric included? Because if what the whole goal of miniatures is that composition that tells a story,
right?
Or is it just to be the colorist for someone else's comic art?
Right.
And
Well, and
I've always treated it as there is a story being told
Yes.
here, because if you treat it as the story of the composition, then style becomes less of a proponent or a component of the final judgment.
Exactly.
And that opens it up for people who paint in different styles, because every artist does, to each have an opportunity to hit it without coming in and saying, what you have to do is Flame on Miniatures level of blends in order to win a Slayer sword. And you might be like, well, I don't paint that way.
Right.
I don't like the way that looks. I think I like paint. I'm more sketchy, right? I like a little bit of texture in my materials and stuff. And so it opens it up. But this is exactly why it's so hard.
Right.
Because that model was fantastic, don't get me wrong. But against the field, that year in particular, I was like, odd choice, right? And that's where I think that the judges really were kind of caught up in something that wasn't according to any type of rubric that you follow.
Well, maybe it was, but they just don't grade.
Well, they don't
at
make
the
it
higher
public.
levels, right?
Well, they don't make it public,
Also,
and that's a problem.
And that's a problem.
Your rubric is not a rubric if it's internalized by your judges and not known to the public, because then how do you meet it?
Yeah. Well, but the other thing too is if you have judges that are less experienced, the only way that they can judge effectively to a certain level is technical ability alone.
Yeah.
You lose out on that higher level ability of being able to interpret story and
Well,
say
and
how
even
well
then-
did they execute on this story that they tried to
Well, and even
pursue.
then, see, we're making a large
right?
jump between the point, because somebody made it in chat here, that you could get past Games Day winners or Golden Demon winners to judge the Golden Demon competition, and I say, no, you can't. You have to vet your judges. Because just because I can paint a model that wins a Golden Demon does not make me suitable to judge every other Golden Demon winner.
Correct.
It means that I happen to follow one path to getting a Golden Demon, but how many paths are there to winning a Golden Demon? I would argue
ton.
as many as there are artists entering Golden Demon.
Yes.
So how big is that? How long is a piece of string? And so my ability to judge your model is only in the eyes of what my capabilities are.
Right.
So even technicalities, I may not be.
Correct.
I may not know.
Yeah.
You may be above me in that category for a particular thing that you do, and I may not even recognize that, and it bums you out.
True. Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
I come back to you and I go, your blends are a little rough, and you're like, so you understand that was the goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I'm over here, judging something else. What you're recognizing is that it becomes a very slippery slope, and I think that part of it is that art is really, as I've mentioned for years, is not something I feel comfortable with being competitive.
I know.
Because
yeah,
expressing and telling stories is very difficult to compare to one another and say yours is better. Because what that is a subjective approach to saying, I really found more enjoyment in this piece than I did in this piece. But you may wake up the next day and find enjoyment in the second piece, or a year from now and go back and look at it and go, why didn't this one win? And it's like, well, dummy, you didn't vote for it.
Yeah.
Because that year you didn't like it.
And I mean, to this point, right? Like a lot of people, when I was at Nova, I had the sacrifice with me, and a lot of people were like, why didn't you enter this? And I was like, well, there's two things. One, we're supporting the event, so I don't feel comfortable doing that. But also, I don't care about winning. The only reason I would enter is to get feedback.
Yeah.
And like I can just ask for feedback.
Yeah.
Like, I can just have a conversation with these people. I know a lot of these people. I just ask for feedback.
Yeah, I've never
So
really.
It's just because I care about learning and getting better. I don't care about winning. What I'm gonna I get a little coin, a trophy thing, and I put it in a closet somewhere.
Arctic says locally we had a small 40K tourney and a painting competition in it as well. The painting judges went Golden Demon level painting and got most of us just slapping things on to have the army finished. So the one guy who had been painting his for years auto won and no one else even got looked at. You just laugh. Okay, so wait a minute. The painting judges wanted Golden Demon level painting and instead got most of, I'm putting words in here and so I can figure it out. And instead got most of us just slapping things on
Because they needed to get
because
their
you were
models
just
done.
getting done for the
Yeah.
tournament. Yeah, gotcha. And so you laughed because you could see that that was the case, that that was what was going to happen, that one person spent a lot of time and nobody else did, and so he was going to win. That seems right to me, right?
Yeah, I mean that's how
Or
that
should we
works, right?
judge all of the slap done paint jobs together? So I just got back from judging a tournament. Somebody says, so when is Slowfuse judging some painting competitions? I just judged one locally
He
2
does a
weeks ago.
bunch.
Like 2
Yeah.
weeks ago, I think it was.
Which
2
one did
weekends,
you
yeah.
do?
2 weeks ago, it was called the Smite
Oh,
Club
right,
Open.
right.
It was out in, I think that was New Mexico. It wasn't. It was the Valley. It said
Almost Queen
Phoenix.
Creek.
It said Mesa, but it was literally as far as you could go and still be in Arizona, I
It was
think.
almost
Oh,
Queen
okay.
Creek,
I was
yeah.
like, you went to New Mexico for
It
this?
took me an hour and 45 minutes to get home from it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What the heck?
It's like the absolute. If Arizona is a body like this, you know, it was the elbow out in the
Oh
valley. It
my
was
goodness.
completely far away.
Yeah,
You played at Smite, Far East Mesa, Cliff Jumper. Yeah, it was way out in the middle of nowhere.
Almost Queen Creek.
But I drove out there and I judged both the 40K and the Age of Sigmar side of that based on the ITC rubric that they have, which is very difficult. Now, what happened is that the guys that were running the tournament, the TOs, did the breakdown by points so that I didn't have to do that because they know the rubric better than I do. ITC has a thing like, are they based? Check mark. It's binary. Yes, no. Right? Do they have at least 3 colors? Yes, no. Are they based? Yes, no. Cohesive color across the army? Yes, no. You know, so they didn't buy like a unit from eBay here and another one here and here. And, you
that's
know,
nice, yeah.
So it's cohesive color scheme. And so there's a list of, I don't know what it is, 10 things, 12 things, I don't remember. 25. There's a bunch of check boxes. And so if you got all those check boxes, whichever check boxes you hit gave you points. And they total up the points. And so I find that that's a really bad way to do it from an artistic perspective, but a very good way to do it for the pointing system in playing tournaments, right? Because you did it, you made all those. It just, I can see how that leaves a bad feeling both ways. Because if the rubric is so wide open, like, did you base the model? Well, I have to check this box because you glued sand on it, right? That's basing.
Well, that's what.
Check.
Yeah, that's where it gets sticky because, like, what if you've got 15 models that all did exactly that? Then what? How do you pick the one? There has
Right.
to be some kind of
Right.
subjective judging in there.
Well, so what they did is they called me in for the subjective part.
Okay.
And they gave me the points level people, and they said, here's the one that's the highest points, here's the next one, and here's the next one. And so I went and I looked at all of those, and I picked a winner out of I picked a tiering in which matched their point level. That actually worked out pretty well, based on who had the most points at the top, which I believe was like a Skaven army, had a lot of conversions.
Oh, cool.
The color scheme was a little lacking, but it was done pretty well, and then down from there, right? But the army that looked the best didn't even get all the
Yeah.
points, because a lot of his army wasn't based, right? He was playing Lizardmen, and so he had a bunch of skinks that he had painted up nicely, but he didn't have time to base them. So he didn't get the check mark on that, right? I don't know where he didn't get check marks. I didn't go back and look, but I picked him as best of show for Age of Sigmar because cohesively the army parts that he put out on his display board, right? Because you get to put your army out on a display board, and when he didn't have a display board, which is one of the check marks. So you have like one that looks like your rats are in the sewer. The one guy did, right? And so he didn't get a check box on that. So anyway, he had some things he didn't get checked on, but the rest of his army was really, really well done. And I spoke with him and I said, hey, just to make sure, did you paint this army? He's like, yeah. And he went in and told me all the details, how he did it and all this stuff, and he was very
Cool.
excited about it.
Cool.
And so he got my judges award in
Nice.
Age of Sigmar because his was the best visually appealing army out of the whole thing, even
Yeah.
though he didn't get as much points by the rubric.
Yep.
And that was not a prize that was intended to be given out. I chose to add that to the prize pool that day because that guy's army stood head and
Deserved
shoulders
it.
above a lot of the ones that were there. So that was just my prerogative. On the 40K side, it was a lot different. There were a bunch of armies that were very cohesive and put well together, but it was like the funny thing that I walked away from on the 40K side was that every high-end army there, which there were plenty of them that were painted very, very well, every single one stopped before highlights.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Well, in a meaningful way.
Most of them.
In a meaningful way.
Yeah, I understand what you mean.
You know, like not even like those heavy metal edge highlights. You know, they had really good, quick. It was like a lot of base coats and airbrushing and things like that, and good weather. But I had knights that had fantastic weathering, no highlights. You know,
that's a bummer.
There was a lot of it. It was at that pinnacle, but it made it again like what we're talking about is it's I don't know that bummer's a good word. It's like you can see where the goal was for these guys to get their army looking good for the table, like what we're hearing here is that I just wanted to get it done for the tournament. Yeah. So you get it done for the tournament, but some of these guys got it done for the tournament in a really, really good way. And you can see that, like I always say, get it done, get it painted, get it out there, play with it, and then you can always come back and add more to it. And all of those armies were that. They were at that stage where they just needed to go home and now start highlighting and bringing that contrast onto the model. But it made it leveled the playing field. You know, because there wasn't anybody that rose head and shoulders above the rest in the 40K side because they had gone that extra mile.
Were they all kind of to that level?
They all were kind of to that level. I mean, not all the armies, but all the ones that had been pulled by the judging.
That, like, pulled above the rest at all? Or no. It was just kind of all...
it was really hard for me to pick single best model.
Really?
Yeah.
For 40K?
Yeah, it was the guy, his name Jake. I think his name is Jake. Who is the guy coordinating all the LVO vendors, came down and played. He's from a bunch of Las Vegas people came down. He did. He got it for his Yvrain. I think it's Yvrain. Oh, okay. The Yenid. I don't know. Whichever one the demon Eldar looking guy with the swirly stuff is.
Yunari, I think? Or is that the name of the faction now? I don't remember.
I think they're Yunari, and it's like the Yenid or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because Yvrain, I think, is the one that has she looks more put together. Yeah. This one is like half demon.
Yeah, Yenid. Yeah.
The Yenid. Incarn. It's the Incarn. That's what it is. The Incarn. It's like half demon.
That's not how language works.
What's that? That's not how your language works.
They're not supposed to start with a Y like that.
They're not supposed to start with a...
Words don't start with Y's, except for yes.
Well, they have to have a vowel after it. You put a consonant after a Y, come on.
Although it's more you laugh because the painting part was last minute and nobody knew about, so we didn't know until
we got there. Gotcha. Yvonne.
Oh, they did it without anybody being able to prep for it. Yeah, I gotcha.
Automaton, I'm okay. We're pretty far away. Huh? Automaton said that it looks like every time you cough, Jordan, when you turn, it looks like you're coughing right on me.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the way the screen
I'm like 20 feet away from you.
Yeah, she's like 20 feet in the corner over there.
I'm not worried.
Dr. Awful Paint, thank you for the follow.
This is definitely also allergies.
PhD Awful Paint.
I'm just going to call him Doc.
Doc. What's up, Doc?
Doc Awful.
Doc Off.
I'm at the tail end of my 24-hour allergy medicine that I took yesterday, and I can definitely tell you that this building is much worse for my allergies than my apartment is. Because I go home and over the weekend, I don't cough hardly at all.
Weird.
Yeah. Huh. Like a little bit in the morning to like clear out, residual stuff from the nighttime as like everything dries up. But yeah, here's much worse for some reason.
I'm having some crazy stuff going on today.
Yeah.
In my eyes and my nose.
Okay, well that would explain why today particularly is like bad for me.
It's like my eyes are so.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. then that's why.
It's like a weird filmy.
Yeah, it's funny because like I felt great this weekend. I was like, man, this is awesome. I feel like I'm like basically over this whole thing. And then I came in this morning. I was like, ugh, this sucks.
Who knows what we're all breathing?
Stupid plants coming back to life. Need it to be 115 degrees again so it all dies out. Yeah.
The hatred is real.
Arctic Mini
Allergies
painting.
suck, man.
Have a great day.
Who's out of here?
Arctic Mini painting.
Arctic.
Off to work.
Bye.
Good day at work.
Don't eat the paint, Arctic.
Don't eat the paint.
You're not allowed to say that. We don't allow that kind of stuff around here.
You're allowed to say don't eat the paint.
You are allowed to, you're allowed to add that to the beginning of your sentence. Oh, this guy. Almost done with the leather on this guy. Getting the last little bits before the glazes.
Like a helicopter went by, rattled my camera.
Really?
Yeah, I looked up and my camera was jiggling ever so slightly.
Oh, what the heck? Yeah, there was one that just passed over, right? Definitely was not paying that much attention to it. All right, so here's the question, for you, Jason.
For me?
Yes, for you.
Oh God.
So I've asked this question before, but now that I'm getting back to wanting to read these books again, so I'm supposed to read, if I recall, the first 5 books are kind of like a series that are directly related to one another in the Horus Heresy.
Through to Flight of the Eisenstein,
Okay.
which I want to say is like 7 or something like that. I don't remember.
Through and including Flight of the Eisenstein.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Flight of the Eisenstein is them getting out of the system at Istvan and trying to get to Earth to warn everybody, and all the crap that happens with the Eisenstein.
Oh, okay, cool.
And then some of it you'll come back to later, like the Buried Dagger. Happens much later, but that talks about Mortarion and all the outfall. Basically, up to those books sets the stage, and everything else is the splinters of story that happen afterward.
Okay, so then I can kind of just pick and choose what I'm interested in.
Yeah, what do you like? Do you want to know about Ultramar and the, all of the worlds of Ultramar and how the second Imperium rises up? Then you can read all those. That's a bunch of Word Bearer and Ultramarine stuff.
Okay.
Blood Angels, Dark Angels. There's a lot of stuff going on in that one.
That's actually really cool. I like that they did it that way. So you could like here and Kyr says through Flight of the Eisenstein is the first 4 apparently.
I thought Eisenstein was book 5 or 7 or something like that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Kyr says Fulgrim is 5.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's really cool that they give you like an introduction to the overarching narrative of the heresy, and then they're like, here, have fun reading whatever bits and pieces over the course of this that you want, and then after a chunk you're like, okay, then you can read these, that moves the narrative forward a little bit, and then it capstones everything with the siege books.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really neat way to approach it.
And unless you're in love with Iron Hands, you're pretty well covered. Although the Salamander books are very lackluster. So
yeah,
if you have certain likes in your 40K Space Marine world, you may be very unhappy, because there's just, you might still find good stuff out of them because you love the faction so much. But I found myself like, Iron Hands just don't have anything.
Oh, really?
Not worth talking about.
Oh, okay.
Well, because
they're Iron Hands.
Spoiler, he dies. Their Primarch is the first dies, right?
Oh, he's the first one to die?
Pretty sure.
Oh.
Fulgrim kills him. So, yeah, but Legion is definitely one that helps. Legion will prep you for the Siege of Terra better than any other book.
Which one is Legion?
Other than maybe the Buried Dagger. Buried Dagger and Legion are 2 that you have to read. Betrayer, you have to read. Legion is about the Alpha Legion.
Oh, okay.
But it's John Grammaticus. So you get spotty John Grammaticus stuff going on, but then Legion focuses on John Grammaticus, and he's a major player in the end.
Interesting. Okay.
So he doesn't show up very often throughout the series, but Legion he's first in.
Okay, cool.
Slavic wants to know if the demon skin on the left is becoming a pro-Acryl methodology.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry, Slavic. I think you'd also mentioned that you wanted to know what was going on with it. It's literally just a zenithal prime job with black and white. And then I did our dark magenta over the whole thing. For the skin part, obviously. And then now I'm doing advanced flesh tone over that. So it's 2 colors.
Broken Chef, did that cover your question? I think so. Color gradients on Slowfuse's model looks pretty orange. No orange.
It's advanced flesh tone?
There's a lot of warmth in advanced
Yeah.
flesh tone, so those oranges will come through if they're going over the magenta.
Lumberjack Tim, did you happen to turn your main volume down? Because I've been checking it. And I mean, I know I'm always quieter, but they sound okay through my headphones.
The meter's a little bit low, actually.
Yeah, it is a touch. Maybe.
It should be peaking at the red when especially when I talk, because my voice is the loudest.
Mm-hmm.
So the little main channel one over on the right, like rather than messing with individuals, just take the main up.
It's all the way.
Check, 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 check. That's better.
Oh, yeah.
I noticed the other day that a lot of the sliders were down, so maybe they all individually got turned down rather than the main.
Does that system have a way of doing it automatically?
No, it doesn't do it automatically.
Okay, that's what I was about to say. Because I don't think I even heard of anybody.
I don't ever turn anybody down.
Yeah.
That damn Gabe guy.
I
We'll blame
bet you-
Gabe.
Yeah. Came in here just to sabotage us.
He's not here to defend himself, so it's Gabe's fault.
It's always Gabe's fault. Because he's not here to defend himself.
Slovic said, wow, that's a lot of punchiness and depth from two colors. Are you mixing with anything?
Nope. Not at all.
He's the one who intentionally, like, projects and speaks very clearly. So that is not surprising to him.
I've basically done live speaking since I was like 15 years old.
So much, but I mean, I barely changed anything because it was already really high. But I'm glad it's better for you.
I noticed watching back one of the recent streams, it was low. I just forgot to say anything. That's my bad.
Wonder if it just got bumped or something.
No, it looked like all of them had come down in concert, so maybe during
Weird.
the show.
Maybe there was one day when
Tim said
you
it was
guys
loud.
were excited and both talking at
Jim
the
was
same
like,
time.
Oh
and-
God.
No, they're like the literal dials right over here, so I don't think it would be related to an update.
Nope. Jen's got the magical powers when it comes to controlling the volume over there.
We haven't updated OBS in years.
Yeah, forever. Not since I've been here. I got the notification. I was like, "Hey, what's the deal with this?" And you're like, "Don't touch it." I was like,
It
"Okay."
breaks. It like breaks stuff.
Broken
When you-
Chef, no. Still don't eat the paint. Okay.
It's okay. How about now? Can we now? No. Still no. The answer? Still no.
Did you do anything fun this weekend, Jason?
Did I? I did lots of fun things.
What'd you
All of
do?
them were the same.
Uh-oh. What was the one
One
thing?
guess. One guess.
Vampire Survivors.
No.
Oh.
Your other game. I forget the name of it. The spaceship one.
Yes.
The
Yes.
sci-fi spaceship one.
Yes.
Although Lumberjack Tim is right, he did also do laundry.
And I did do laundry. Lumberjack Tim knows because yesterday I was in Louise's stream and Tim was hanging out.
Oh, are you talking about
And
your
they asked me
laundry?
what I was doing, and I said I'm trying to fight off laundry day. And then eventually I was like, I gotta go do laundry because I sat there for like an hour and a half.
That's
She
funny.
kept, she said she only had like 30 minutes left, and then she kept going another 30 and another 30 and another 30.
That's kind of like you.
That sounds like something that we've done before.
And one more question from Broken Chef. How has Baby J's cities painting going?
Taking a little
How
bit of a
is it
break.
going?
We got a lot of it done. We got here. I'll zoom out a little bit so we can get a better photo. We got or photo, but we got this guy who we finished up last week, I think. early last week, maybe. We got that guy. And we got this guy. And then we got little page guy. We got older version of me. And then we got Pot Wizard. This is where we're currently at. Taking a little bit of a break from it to work on some heresy stuff for a little bit.
Louise is a great painter. Yeah, fantastic. Great artist too.
Yeah, Louise did Forge World stuff, right?
She painted it Forge World, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she also did graphics, like in the books, but I can't remember.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's neat.
So I think the buzzing that people say they can hear is that.
The fan.
The fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, we have to keep a fan running in here.
It's very hot.
It's yeah, it is. It's toasty.
We could probably get a noise canceller. We'd have to get like a physical noise canceller though. The software one doesn't seem to do it right. The pink on his model for the Pot Wizard is definitely the fluorescence.
Yep. Yeah, I was messing around with the fluorescence. And it's mighty bright.
Works well.
Mighty bright. Covered it up too with a lot of other colors with glazes, so it's pretty cool. Don't worry, Broken Chef. The cities will be back. I am not shelving them. They're still on my desk. They're ready to go. I basically ran into a situation last week where I didn't have any models to start on. And I was like, well, I got these Horus Heresy models, so I might as well start that. And then I was like, ooh, I forgot how much I enjoyed painting these. And I wanted to do a little bit of testing on our not oil wash, so. Gave me a good excuse to do that.
Yeah, because I know at the end she was doing like masterclass videos for Warhammer Plus.
Oh, cool. How long has she been doing just the streaming thing? I forget how long she's been.
Well, she only recently started the stream, but she left in April, I believe.
Okay.
March or April, right around Adepticon time frame.
Yeah, they're not available yet. Slavic. Coming soon.
Coming soon.
So my first step with the advanced flesh tone over the magenta base with the black and the white is just to go over it very, very thin so I can start locating the color. Right, start moving. You can see the difference here with it done very thin than here where I haven't done it at all. Right, so it just starts moving a hint of color that way. Then you go back with less thinning. Still fairly wet. I'm using a number 4 brush, so it holds a lot of water. No matter what I do here is going to have quite a bit of moisture in it. Right, but then I go back and just kind of sketch in my base tones over that. But now I have, because I did the color very thin first, I have that nice layer of color interacting with the black and the white underneath, so that it gives me very, very fast blending. And on these, I just move all of my brush strokes up towards my highlight. And leave that first very thin pass in the shadows and low points. And then you just keep building up like that, less and less thinning, because you notice now I have the highlight already done. Like that base tone I just did becomes the highlight for this first thin coat that is this darker color laid in there.
Broken Chef, not oil wash, kind of like how petroleum brown works.
No.
No.
Totally different deal. It is a subtractive weathering medium, which may not mean anything to you, but that's what oil wash is. The technique that we're doing is subtractive weathering, meaning that you're putting paint on and then taking paint off so that the paint that stays is in recesses or streaks or whatever you're looking for, right? And we've created one that is a completely water-based solution. So you don't have to work with any toxic chemicals or solvents to clean up. It's not smelly. It's definitely messy. That's because it does its job. But it's intended to become your first line of defense for when you want to do that kind of blending.
Jordan's been using it a bunch recently on stream. Do you remember what day there was one day last week.
Oh, goodness.
We go
Wednesday,
back to the
maybe?
VODs.
Was it Wednesday?
It's like Wednesday or Thursday, I want to say.
It was the day when I was here, and I was not here on Wednesday.
So it's probably Thursday, I think.
Tuesday or Thursday.
Or, no. It might have been Tuesday, then. Because
I feel like Tuesday.
I
Tuesday
started
sometime.
Malagurst and I did 2 days last week on Malagurst. Because I came in on Friday and I was like, I hope I can finish this guy today. And I didn't. So, yeah, that would have been, if you weren't here on Wednesday and I did it while you were here, it would have been Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay, so Tuesday's VOD over on YouTube. Or here. I think.
Yeah, because I think now that I think about it, I spent Monday working on finalizing the highlights for the gold and doing all the silver. And then Tuesday I finished them up and then did the filters. So, yes. That is correct. We figured it out, chat. By process of elimination.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Interesting process. Slavic said, interesting process. Couple of questions. How much of an effect does the zenithal affect the final product? Is it just to help pick out the highlighting? Do you just thin with water and don't use a wet palette?
Well, so it can do whatever you need it to do. It can be a guideline so that you just have the highlight on the model to start from, right? So we did this with dry brush the other day. So let's say you just wanted to get a feel for where light would hit the model and where your highlights should go. Boom, done, right? Quick dry brush on the model. Shows you how the light would hit when it comes from over here on his right shoulder, what we call the 10 o'clock, right? So it would highlight like that. And then that can just be the setup for how you take a snapshot of this with your phone, right? And then refer back to it as you start painting your model. And so you might never see the white have any effect. Or it could be like I'm doing right now, where the white has a pretty extreme effect because I've done a transparent color over the top, or a more transparent color in the dark magenta over the top here, so that everywhere I put the dark magenta, like here, it brightens up. See how this is brighter than where it goes over the black? So it gives me that contrast and saturation difference right out of the gates, so that when I come back with my top color, like this, I'm getting more flesh tone on the top of that calf muscle, right? But as I come over here into the black, I get a totally different tone of that color. That's the zenithal doing its work. So every coat up to and including this third coat, it will impact. After this, probably not much at all. But it's laying in and helping my colors mix. It's altering those colors in a way that's giving me, like, out of basically 3 colors, which is my black primer, my white primer, or I got 4 colors, right? Black primer, white primer, dark magenta, and advanced flesh tone. I now have a really bitchin' color scheme on the skin that I don't have to do a whole lot more work to. Just highlights, right? Because my base layer for the skin does exactly what I need it to do. It gives me some purples where the magenta and the black are in the darkest shadows, which I really dig for shadows. Then it starts giving me that magenta, reddish, pinkish, irritated skin tone as we come out of those shadows into the midtones. And then where it was the lightest, my advanced flesh tone starts seeding in pretty well on its own. So I'm just looking for kind of a very weird, demonic, irritated flesh.
Does he have
Now-
something carved into his chest?
Yeah, it's a pentagram
Okay.
on his left pec muscle.
Poor guy. Just
He was a poor guy.
yeah. This is what happens when you're friends with that guy.
Yeah, this is what happens when you trust Gregor Eisenhorn with your life. He will use it as he sees fit. This was Gregor's interrogator.
Who he was friends with apparently. And now he is a demon. Or a host to a demon, I should say.
Yeah, Gregor did some really horrible things to just about everybody that came in contact with him over time.
This is a good guy?
Yeah, actually.
Interesting.
It definitely is. He is actually fighting for the side of the Imperium. He just knows more about what's going on than everybody else and knows or thinks that he must employ the enemy's abilities against them in order to have any chance of winning. And the books really do a very good job of making you as the reader kind of ride that fine line between getting it and being like, he's completely out of his gourd.
He's out of his gourd. This guy's doing some horrible things.
Yeah, because he does continue to do horrible things and get away with it. But, I mean, he loses a lot because of it. He sacrifices a ton to do them. Like, he really did love his entire war band, and they all abandoned him, basically.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. To where at the end, he's left with an Alpha Legion or Night Lords. I don't remember. He's got, like, some weird Space Marine dude with him. And
So, is he a Space Marine guy, or is he like an Inquisitor?
he's an Inquisitor.
Okay.
He's
Just want a little bit of clarification.
high-grade
there for me.
psyker. He's wanted.
By everybody.
Oh, yeah, basically. They sick Ravener, his ex cohort, on him. Try to bring him to justice.
I'm assuming that doesn't go particularly well for anybody.
Yeah, Ravener went out with a vengeance to try to get him in, and then changed his tune when he realized that Gregor might not be he's still crazy, and they don't agree with one another's tactics at all. But Ravener understands that
He's doing good things.
that what he's doing in the big picture is right, and that the fact that the Inquisition isn't listening is what's going to drive the Imperium to its demise. So. They are, what do you call it? Allies of circumstance, I guess.
Yeah.
Convenience.
I'm not sure it's convenient. Yeah.
Need. It would not normally. Ravener would kill him in a heartbeat. Let's just put it that way.
Schmidt said, weren't there like 3 or 4 heretic Astartes hanging out with him where the book stopped for now?
I don't remember how many there were, but I'm pretty sure there's a Night Lords guy. It's up in the air as to whether or not they're heretics. Right?
Yeah, because just because you're a Night Lord's guy doesn't mean that you're like on the side of chaos, right?
Because remember, in the Beckwin stuff, don't we have the guy who is the Sanguinor, pretty much? Right? So he's in there. We got all sorts of weird crap going on.
Sounds like a crazy story to read.
Yeah, there's like an ex-Blood Angel. Not Eisenhorn, but Beckwin, they ran into Thunder Warrior that was... I may be thinking about a different book. Imperium? Good guys? I mean, it depends, right? If you're a human, the Imperium are the good guys.
Sort of.
No, not sort of. They are the good guys because they're your people. you ain't gonna live with any of the rest of these people.
That's true.
So
They just don't really care about you too much in the specific.
well,
They care about the
untold
whole.
billions across all those planets, you start to see the problem.
Yeah.
You see how well we do at institutions caring about you with what, 8 billion on this planet?
That's true. That's fair.
Now make a bunch of these planets. I think it does a very good job of kind of setting up the stage, at least, for that kind of understanding of governance and all that, that it's just out of control, and the powers that be recognize that and don't really care, is the thing. The Inquisition, everybody's gotten so good at hiding what the real deal is. They don't want anybody, the normal man on the street, to know what the real fear is, that it's caused all these problems.
I mean, it would just be chaos, right?
Yeah, they don't want anybody to know. They don't talk about the heresy. They don't want anybody to know that ever happened, you know.
Oh, I didn't even know that, like, the traditional random person doesn't know that the heresy ever happened.
Nope. They try to keep all that extinguished.
How does that work with, like, people seeing, like, very obviously chaos corrupted, like, chaos?
Well, I mean, you got cultists everywhere, you know. It's like anything, right? You try to, your brother tries to tell you that that's not real, but you're seeing it real with your eyes, your God-given eyes every day.
Yeah.
So you're like, well, I mean,
I see this thing.
I guess I'm just gonna go to work.
I'm gonna ignore this and go to work. We're gonna let this all just, you know, sit, chill. We're gonna ignore it, and hopefully when I get back home, it's gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And most of the time, it is not gone by the time you get home.
Needless to say, I don't want to live in the Imperium. Some great fiction to be told in that world. Not really interested in the reality of it.
Red Smurf, that's awesome. Yeah, Tower Games has been one of our FLGS partners for quite a while.
That's definitely not glaze and wash medium. Where is my glaze and wash
There are
medium?
a few others as well. The Forge, I think,
Yeah, the Forge is up there.
Minnesota.
Hello, Red Smurf.
Source Tower Games, Forge, Games and More. And then we get into Wisconsin and Iowa. No, Source has had it for a while too.
Good old Wisconsin. Making any headway through Mentats? You almost done with that
Finished.
book yet?
Get that book out of here.
You got it? You finished it?
Well, no. It has like 10 minutes left, but
Oh, you might as well.
for all intent and purpose, yes, done. Get it out of here.
What are you moving on to next?
I don't know. I think I got to take a break from Dune, even though I don't want to. But I'm going to have to. Those books just beat you out of it. It's almost like they were writing those books to get a TV series or a movie or something. The next logical progression would be back to the House books, but I don't know that I want to do those. I read those not too long ago, so.
Is that like the next step beyond where you are now?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Harkonnen, Atreides, and Carino. They all come in triplets. I don't know. I got tons.
Tons to read.
On these big stints, it would be nice if it could be, like the next Siege of Terra book, but we're screwed on that front. Thought it was already supposed to be out this year.
Yeah, you were saying that it was slated for this year sometime.
Paint Liquor, if they're not your jam, why are you going to read them?
What's that?
The Paint Liquor said I just recommitted to reading the Drizzt books. They are not my jam.
Then why would you read them?
That's what I asked.
Like Jen said. That doesn't make any sense. There's plenty of good novels out there to read. We were just talking about a bunch last week. Plenty of good stuff out there.
Because I bought them and I'm not wasting the money. All right, that's fair enough.
Sometimes that's all it takes, right?
Source
more
does wants to know if
disciplined.
you've read the End Times books.
The End Times book? Or books? I don't know. What are they about? I've read a lot of End Times books. Are they called
Probably
the
about
End Times series?
Times.
No, I think they're specifically referring to
End Times. It's
Warhammer Fantasy.
capitalized.
What's that?
Warhammer Fantasy: The End Times.
Oh, no.
Ice-T read the audiobooks for Drizzt. I would maybe listen to that. At least for a few minutes.
No, Warhammer Fantasy books never really got me. Some of the Gotrek and Felix stuff was fun. Romp style stuff, but the writing there never had the focus on it that 40K did.
That's my same argument for keeping my old paints on the shelf. Bought 'em, not wasting money. He says sword, not sword, or sword.
Paint Liquor says I'm on the Crystal Shard. Gonna be a long 20-something books. Yeah, definitely not enough hours in the day to spend doing things you don't enjoy.
I concur with that statement.
But Source, you started with book 1, Return of Nagai. Oh, okay. I have had such bad luck reading anything Warhammer Fantasy, especially in the Age of Sigmar stuff. It just is like I read one book that was okay with vampires, and the next one sucked. And it's the same author, so that blew me up. I don't know. I'm not gonna spend any more on. I'm not gonna spend any more on Warhammer Fantasy books.
Big Bob, what's a bit too long?
There's definitely so much other really good like fantasy novels out there that it's hard to just be like, I'm gonna read this because it's Warhammer Fantasy and I like Warhammer Fantasy. It's hard to justify.
Hyperion, I could go back to Slayer Street. Yeah. Yep. I've done 2 books. I think I'm on to Endymion next. I don't remember. They're really good. Or some Alistair Reynolds sci-fi. I'm kind of in a sci-fi mood. It's tough for me to make the move over to fantasy sometimes, although there are a couple of series right now that I would really like to see the next book come out of, but I don't think Larry Correia is ever going to finish the Son of the Black Sword series or whatever it's called. So that sucks. Should you just water it back up, Big Bob? I mean, you can still use it with water to thin it down. You won't reconstitute it really well. Remember that anytime paint starts to thicken up, it means it's already polymerizing. So adding water will loosen it back up, but it'll continue to do the same thing. You won't get the water to sit in the suspension the same way. It'll always feel like it's an additive and not part of the paint. You're a fantasy nerd and don't enjoy 40K? I think, it's funny because I think from a visual perspective, I really like fantasy better because it has so much more variation capability. Not that sci-fi can't, but at some point in time, sci-fi all starts to feel the same. Big metal ships, laser beams. There's a lot of ways you can do magic. There's only so many ways you're going to do futuristic weapons. I think that some of the best sci-fi turns into fantasy in the way it's presented. I mean, just look at Star Wars,
Yep.
right? It's space wizards. They had to bring in wizardry to it to make it set it apart.
Which worked.
But I prefer to listen to sci-fi. Xenophonetic, you feel like you should stop trying to read Warhammer anything and focus on classics and other highly rated content. 40K, I find most of the quality so lacking. Yeah, it's a very big roller coaster of content as far as like enjoyment. Well, I don't know about enjoyment, but quality. If you're a discerning reader, I don't even know what that means, right? You know, and to their credit though, Games Workshop is not like intentionally a huge literary firm, but they have some fantastic writers. And some fantastic reads.
I'll just throw back my legs and pollute my britches with
Panic
delight.
Bomb Arcade, thank you.
It just
Panic
is a very,
Bomb.
very up and down deal. Thanks for that Twitch Prime.
How's it going, Panic Bomb?
You enjoy sci-fi, but if given a choice, you're all Tolkien it out.
Man, that's something I do need to read.
Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Never read it.
Very good. Might be time to give those another. I just listened to those though, didn't I? Didn't I just? When did I? Wasn't it only like a year or two ago that I did the entire Hobbit and Lord of the Rings?
I don't know. I don't keep up with that. I know you watched them
Maybe I just watched them again. I don't
not
remember.
too long. That was maybe a couple of years ago though.
I try to watch through it every year.
Kyrie says Lord of the Rings is okay. The pacing is terrible. It's not that bad, but yeah. Andy Serkis audiobook, Baby J, do it.
Did he voice over one of the novels? Or the book series?
Not the one that I have. I have the old ones.
I didn't realize he did it on the audio.
The pacing's terrible. It should have been twice as long.
Oh my gosh. Now that is a hot take.
Oh, you people. I don't know if I'd want to jump to Shadowflesh is kind of what we got from running that so thin. I'm thinking we might just jump to some Tan Flash.
This is definitely one of those models that has too many Chingises. Too many. It's
Too many.
too much.
Which one is Malogurst?
This guy.
Oh.
That's this
Ostrello
guy.
said that it's such an amazing model and you are doing a bang up job with it.
Well, thank you. Much appreciated. I am enjoying it greatly.
Jen, you know that this is not Malagursh because this is
Oh yeah. Cherubial or something.
Cherubiel, yes.
Cherubiel. Like I remember Cherub. I need a little whiteboard over here so that every
You
day
keep
I can
track.
write down what you guys are painting.
That's probably a fun idea.
Probably a good idea.
You're hoping Raven Guard gets some cool character models soon? For 30K? I always feel like the Legions on Istvan are kind of screwed.
Those are the ones that got all screwed up by the drop site thing, right?
Yeah. The dirty heretics, you know, like the one you're painting.
Yeah, it was basically Horus just like bombarding everybody on the planet from orbit, right? Including a bunch of his own guys, if I recall.
It was the drop site massacre.
So what exactly happened there?
And then on the other one, after they went to Sons of Horus and Emperor's Children and holed up in a base on Istvan 5?
That sounds right.
Istvan 3 was the drop site massacre, right? I might have
Oh,
those,
it might be 4.
I
I
might
think
have
it's
those
4.
backwards, I don't remember.
Or 5. Those Roman numerals look very similar, if you're not like really paying attention.
And aren't Roman.
Huh?
But then you're not Roman.
Yes. But they do use the Roman numerals a lot. The difference between 4 and 5 is pretty obvious, but it can be easily missed if you're not looking hard enough.
T. Schmidt said it was 3 and 5.
3 and 5.
Kyra Asylum said, yeah, it's 3 and 5. Can
Yep.
never remember which one was which, though. T. Schmidt said the bombardment was first, drop site was second.
Yep. Bombardment was first, and the battle was second.
And this is predominantly just traitor legions just screwing up a bunch of non-traitor legions
Yes.
by virtue of betraying them.
Yes.
Sounds like a thing a traitor would do. A heretic, in fact.
And not just the heretic legions against the loyalist legions at this point. It was the heretic legions weeding out their own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they had the lodge coins, and those who didn't agree to the lodge mentality got wiped out too. So they culled their own ranks.
Whoa. So, okay, so what exactly happened during these things? Because I'm not, like, intimately familiar with what happened. I just know that, like...
Well, so what started happening was this concept of Astartes being better and not getting the value out of their efforts once the Emperor left to go back to Terra to do his great work and left Horus in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what started happening was the word bearers started infesting their thought process, and that the Emperor left them to do, the dirty work, and that, they were just slaves to humanity, and there was a greater power, they should be revered, the work they did was sacred and holy, and blah blah blah. And this all happened after the Emperor slapped down Lorgar in
Right.
front of the Ultramarines and the word bearers both.
Okay.
Right? And they just needed somebody to worship, so they found the Chaos
Somebody to
Gods,
worship.
basically.
Yeah.
Right?
They're like, we gotta find somebody.
Erebus, Lorgar,
Yeah.
Corpharon, all of these horrible individuals. And so then the idea of the lodges started to take place, where groups of battle brothers would get together and talk in secrecy. And that's what basically led to them being able to root out the ones that were not along with Horus and his idea of, taking the empire for their own,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Source does wants to know if the icon is 100% non-metallic.
Yep. Yes, sir. It most definitely is.
Yeah, you saw these lodge coins turning up everywhere. secret conversations. Generally had between those Space Marines who are not born on Terra.
Okay.
Because at this point in time, the
Interesting.
legions were largely...
Not Terra.
Well, they were kind of split, some of them, right? You had... Now that all of them had been Terran primarily, prior to finding their Primarchs. And then once they found their Primarchs... They integrated the people from the Primarch's planet where possible.
Yeah.
Right? And so you had, but you still had quite a few Terran-born Space Marines, and the Terran-born Space Marines are the ones that stayed loyal for the most part. I think there were others too, but if they're born on Terra, they immediately got bookmarked for
Yeah, they're like, we gotta get rid of this guy.
cleansing, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because they knew they would be loyal to the Emperor first because they weren't sons of their Primarchs.
Right.
They were Space
So
Marines.
they weren't
just,
originally loyal.
They were the original
to...
trained Space Marines. They weren't.
Yeah. Because all the ones that came from their planets were originally loyal to the Primarchs prior to them becoming what we know of now as the Primarchs, right?
Yeah, or who were brought in as Space Marines after the fact and were loyal to their Primarch because that's all they knew. Whereas the Terran ones had fought alongside, a lot of them had fought alongside the Emperor in the finding of the Primarchs.
Interesting. What an interesting like social divide in the chapters, right? Like having some people who are, you know, devoted to their Primarch because of their duty versus their like I grew up with this person being, you know, blah 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 on the planet that I am from, right? It's really interesting to think about.
Well, yeah, there were a lot of the Space Marines who were like, the Primarch's just another guy.
Yeah, he's like, this is just like another captain or a chapter master or whatever, right?
Yeah, the ones from Earth didn't value them like the other guys did.
Yeah.
But, you know, rightfully so, they'd fought alongside the Emperor. They were like, you want to know who's right? This guy. We've seen the Emperor do things you can never dream of. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of cleansing from the internal perspective as well.
Okay.
Not just the loyalists and heretics fighting it out. That's
It's
why you
like-
have, like, Flight of the Eisenstein, right? And you have all these Marines who are loyal to the Emperor, but or traitor factions like Death Guard, and you get some of the best characters out of it.
It's 155. I'll let you know.
Good to know. I'm having a really good time painting right now. I am definitely fully delved back in on personal hobby time at home right now. I'm really enjoying it. Got that project passion going on.
Cool.
Yeah, built like 25 some odd models this weekend.
Look at you go.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot.
It was a lot, actually. I was up last night, I'm like, I built a lot of models this weekend. And like 5 of them, I made like custom Justarin Terminators because I don't want to spend $100 on 5 dudes. Or technically it's like 120 or something because you got to buy the weapon kit that comes with them, which is silly. Silly that you don't just buy the box and it comes with the weapons. You have to buy the box with the dude's legs, chests, and heads. You got to buy the arms separately,
Oh,
which is weird. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense sort of because
Welcome.
there's other options that you can put on them. So like sometimes you just don't have to buy the arms because you buy different arms instead. But
but you gotta buy arms
I got to buy arms period.
somewhere.
And the bodies are like $80 for 5.
And they don't give you all the pieces?
And they don't give you all the pieces. Yeah, it's horrible. It's really bad.
What kind of racket is this?
Welcome.
Yeah,
Games
welcome to
Workshop.
Games Workshop.
Who needs arms? Exactly.
Well, I do.
I mean,
if I'm going to use them.
I like both of mine. I use them both every day.
Mine are a little short,
There's
but
not
we
a
make
single
do.
day where I don't use both of my arms. Sometimes I could even need a third. Coming home from the grocery store,
I just need a darn wagon for
it'd
that.
be bad to have a third arm.
I need to invest in one of those things so that I can take all my groceries to my
Yeah.
apartment. Because, man, it's a decent walk. Not bad, but it's definitely... If I'm bringing 80 water bottles into my apartment, I don't want to be carrying them
I
by hand.
haven't had to walk groceries in to that kind of a distance in a very, very, very long time. But I still carry my groceries in like I have a really long way to walk.
Yes.
I try and get as
She gets
much.
every single one of the things.
I like have them all over my arm.
Jen, you and I carry groceries into the house the same exact way.
I'm like, hon, you need any help? Nope. She's huffing and puffing, got them all.
I got everything.
Yeah, I usually try and bring everything in one run.
And then I have to like hoist it up onto the counter.
Yep. That's me.
Slayer Street, we no, not at this time. We don't have any events that we attend in Texas. Not that we never will.
Any events that what?
That we attend in Texas.
Nope. I don't think we'll ever get invited to ReaperCon after
No,
this
probably
year.
not. Probably not going to be at ReaperCon anytime soon.
And that would have been the only one I would really...
Are they in Texas?
Yeah. North Texas. Denton area. I'm making progress on his skin.
Oh, yeah, it's looking really good. I'm very excited to see what it looks like once all the like chains are blocked out.
Yeah, that's the thing, is we get a lot of that magenta, which
Yeah.
looks like hot pink intrusion around it right now.
Right.
Before I do much more highlighting, I'm going to have to black all that out.
Well, they're a competitor. I mean,
Slayer Street, what happened there? What, with Reaper? Is that what you're asking?
yeah, because we said we won't be
Oh,
likely going to Reaper.
they recently produced our old design bag again. It's something that happened back in 2020. It's just a rough spot between the companies. They took a design of ours and marketed it as their own. But we love those guys. Great company. I don't know what I'm going to do for the chains color-wise. Probably start with them steel. He doesn't have a lot going on.
He's like chains and some cloth
And a bunch of parchment.
yeah, and some nails, and some purity seals, and skin.
It's not a lot.
I mean, that's kind of nice though. Kind of like the Morgan.
Time to have
Right on it.
MonuCon, says Red Smurf. We've been being pushed for years to have MonuCon. And, you know, we've thought about ways we can do some cool, like, location events here, but a con is not going to happen. We're not at a point in our
We're-
sanity.
But yeah,
Where we can
was
handle
like, How
that?
do we say this? We're still small, but big, and we don't have the team for it.
We're much larger than our numbers.
Yeah.
Because we run so efficiently, but what it means is that we don't have a lot of capability of bringing on tasks outside of our normal focus. I think is the best way to say it.
That's
We
a very
make
reasonable
paint.
way to say it.
Put paint in boxes, ship paint.
We
Right?
don't have any room for a tent.
There's
at
no room
HQ.
for all that. We would have to hire a crew to do it.
Our parking lot is full.
And our parking lot is full.
Yeah, we cannot fit more people in our parking lot right now.
You shipped your paint? Dave, are you okay?
Gabe doesn't ship paint, so.
I don't know what Gabe's talking about. Oh, we'd say a word, Bob, let me tell you.
Jen laid the smackdown on a transient this weekend who was
He
in front of
in
our
my
door.
way. He was
She needed
right
to get in the
front
office.
Of the door, and I needed to get inside.
Just laid the smack down.
One trip is the only way to carry groceries. It kind of defines your
agree.
grocery shopping,
true.
though, I think, right?
No, not at all.
Oh, no?
Not for
You-
me.
You go overboard anyway?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I end up having situations where I'm like, trying to carry stuff, and it's
You
really
get to the
heavy.
door and you're like, oh, how do I key
How do I do
indoor?
I
How does one
unironically
key
have that
indoor
happen
when
to me.
carrying
door.
400 pounds
You
of
put
groceries?
stuff down, and it's all in front of your door.
Now you know
Yeah.
why people steal grocery carts. I'm just going to throw it
Yeah.
out there. Why
I'm
you,
not taking
why
grocery
you buy a
cart.
$500 pickup, and when you go to the grocery store, you just throw all the groceries in the truck and then throw the cart in the back and then bring it back with you next time.
It's brutal.
I brought my own cart.
I brought my own cart.
Okay,
We're
Gabe, I
ready.
remember that commercial.
What's that?
It was a Kmart commercial. I shipped my pants.
Yeah.
I shift my pants. What?
Shipped my pants.
Shipped your pants.
And then there was also like a gas one that talked about their big gas pants.
The
Big gas pants.
the shipped one was the when you could first buy online. Is that what that was?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think it was that long ago. Your neighbors saw it and started clapping.
Who is this?
They didn't
Law
help
dog?
you? They didn't jump in and say, "Hey, can I give you a hand?" No, they gave you a hand.
You know what I've noticed is that that Safeway, is it Safeway we go to now? That Safeway doesn't have like hand baskets.
No, it does not.
Every time I go
What
in,
the heck?
and I'm like, I just need a basket, and I
Yeah.
look thinking that they're gonna be right there. I'm like, they must just be out. Okay, I'm not losing my mind.
It's either that or there are those baskets that are
that's
there,
so funny
but they're
that you mention
bigger.
Well,
And I
are
think
for
that's what they carry produce in, but they have handles like you could carry them like normal.
those I think are for the people who do the people who work at the store who go in and
They do
and
the carry-out orders
And do the
Yeah.
shopping and stuff for them.
The delivery orders and
I'm going to
the
ask them
pickup.
next time because I'm like, dude, I'm buying 6 things. I don't
I
need this
know.
freaking cart, but I'm like 2 things over what I can carry in my arms and still be able to do
Well,
this.
see, and I a lot of times, because I try to carry everything at once, I'm like, I got it. And then I'm walking around like this. and
Yeah,
by the time I
exactly,
get to
stuff
the
falling
checkout,
off.
I'm
Oh my
like,
gosh.
"Can I
Jen-
She's
hold
got
the
it. She's
gallon
got
of
it in her
milk?"
shirt. You remember as
Oh
a
my
kid, you'd
goodness.
put all your stuff in your shirt and you'd hold your shirt like a basket.
Jen, your explanation of what happens at the grocery store is identical to mine, and it
What?
is super funny.
What, that you go and...
Your explanation of like what's happening when in your head when you go to the grocery
Yeah,
store.
I got this.
Me
Yeah.
to a T.
I don't need a
100%.
basket. I got this.
I literally did that the other day, and then I had
And
to
then
turn
2
around
more
and go
bags
get
of chips. You got 1 in your mouth,
So
balancing 2 on your
what
head.
I went. So you know the Safeway, right? So I went through the door that's over by the Starbucks. I walked in and was like, "Don't see a thing." The like a little hand thing, right? Because
Never.
like I said,
They don't
They don't
I know
have-
exactly what you're talking about.
I don't have
They don't exist there.
And I'm like, what do I need to get? Okay, I can maybe fit all this in my hand. And I start like going down the aisle, and I pick up the first thing, and I'm like, and I put it back, and I go get a cart because I'm like,
Gonna need it.
I need too much stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when
All
I
right,
got
gang.
the cart,
We're done. Finished. Done. Done and finished. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend and that your Monday and week keep going well. We are out of here for today, but remember we stream 5 days a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, like tomorrow coming up, we'll start at this time, 2 p.m., and we'll go till 5 p.m. But Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, like today, we start at the noon position and do our hobby lunch. So 5 chances to get to catch up with us. If you're new around here, please hit that follow button. We would love to see you back. We'll continue painting some awesome stuff, talking nerd things, teaching how to paint. And yeah, check out the links that Jen threw up there, the Discord, the store, and the FLGS links. I'll show you everything you need. Buy some paints, join some other nerd artist family on the Discord, and then find a local store where you can go do the same, but in person with people in your local area.
You
So,
know what? I'm
great
gonna
stuff.
Post one more.
Stick around. What's that?
Oh,
I'm gonna post one
oh,
more.
because we got this
we've
one
been
now.
putting a whole bunch of stuff up there recently.
Oh, look out in our YouTube channel
Yeah.
because we actually do things there now.
we got shorts we post every week that go up on our YouTube and our Instagram, and now TikTok as well, I believe as well.
Yeah.
And then also we have our new video that just came out, our new tutorial video on how to clean and assemble models.
How to not cut your thumb off.
Yeah, somebody didn't listen.
Yeah. Freaking Jabe.
You'll find out when you watch the video.
Freaking Jabe.
It's pretty funny though.
But stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid, show love in the channel we wind up in, and we'll catch you back here tomorrow. Adios,
Adios,
gang.
everyone.
We're out of here.
Bye.